David, wake up.
So first is creating like a body of work that can speak to your know-how, your talent, your skills. So I always recommend people first start by like actually creating content, whether that's for themselves, whether that's for like, I love this brand or like this influencer and I wish I could write for them. Write for them, like create that content using them as like a guinea pig, as like a test. And so that eventually you can publish that post onto like your portfolio or your website, wherever that's going to live. And then you have like a body of work you can show potential clients. And then you can start with, now that you feel confident in your skills, now I'm going to start reaching out to people. And then honestly, once you get your first couple clients, you can start leveraging those clients, not just because you'll have more polished work to then show, but you'll also have the stats and the analytics from those clients about how your content or whatever you're producing for them is actually performing.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back. I'm here with Loli, content marketing specialist. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, thank you. Thank you for being on the show. And I'm gonna get right into it. My first question is, Korea Content Marketing, what exactly do you guys provide for service?
Yeah. So I started Crea over 10 years now, which is crazy to think about. But basically, I create digital content for companies. So my clients range from like small marketing departments to like SaaS firms, people who run CPQ software. So basically, like runs the gamut. I've written for lawyers, I've written for medical offices. And it's basically creating any content that's written that lives online. So that can be blog posts, it can be ebooks, that can be social media, newsletters. And I also help people write their books, which is like my favorite projects. So people who have a lot of industry knowledge in a space and want to write a book, but don't either have like the skills to write a book or the time, I kind of help like coach them to like bring their book to life, which is pretty cool.
Okay. All right. Nice, nice, nice. I have some book ideas there. I might come to you.
Oh, yes.
Before I even get into all of that, I want to ask you, what type of mindset do you need to be an entrepreneur? Because it's not easy to be an entrepreneur. You know, there's ups and downs. You know, fear kicks in, doubt kicks in. Some tough months kick in. How do you control your emotions?
100%. I started a second business last year that it teaches other creatives and writers how to start their own content writing businesses. So I have even dealt with imposter syndrome and self-doubt launching the second business because primarily as a writer and a marketer, it was like that was my comfort zone, no. And then all of a sudden I was like entering into this coaching space where I had to market myself as this person who had something that other people needed. And that felt like really sticky for me. But that feeling, that sensation of resistance is really what told me like, okay, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing because like, it's not going to be comfortable if you're growing, right? So whenever I kind of get that like ick or that like imposter syndrome, I know that's exactly what I need to be doing because it's like showing me like, this is the path to your next evolution. Like you have to keep doing the hard things because that's the only way you're going to grow as a person and grow your business.
Mm, okay, okay. I know you have a course for your six-figure writing business. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and why somebody should buy your course?
Yes. So basically, this is like my 10 plus years of knowledge packaged into this digital course because when I started my own freelance writing business, I was like, I had no idea what I was doing. I had the writing skills and I knew digital marketing, but I didn't know how to run a business. I didn't know how to find clients. I didn't know exactly how to package what I offered so I could like make money to actually live my life. So through all of those years of trial and error, I was like, God, I want to create something that I wish I had 10 years ago when I was starting to like facilitate this process and make it a lot easier and faster. And grow faster to make more money faster. So that's why I created this course basically to teach other people who either are writers, marketers, creatives, or have the writing skills and have always been like, you know what? I've always thought about freelance writing. Like maybe I could do it as a side gig, make some money, like an extra money, some extra income. And so I created it for these people to be like, okay, we're starting from zero. This is what you need first to like, first of all, like, let's practice like different writing skills because obviously what we learned in class, like back in school was like writing these huge chunks of text right? And it's like that's the opposite of what like online readers want. So it's not just so it's like, okay, let's start from zero. Like this is how we're gonna now translate those writing skills in order to make them profitable and to monetize them. And then it's like,
Right.
okay, now that we have this practice in place, now here's how we're gonna go about building our business foundation and finding clients. So yeah, that's why I created it because I was like, I saw other people struggling and I was like, God, I wish I had this. And so now I've created it to help other people like me.
Okay. If somebody doesn't have a huge following or doesn't have the money to market their course, how would they sell their course?
So I always tell people like start with your immediate network, because you probably are going to know someone who's going to either know someone else or who's going to need what you're creating, whether that is a course, if you're offering any type of services. Always start with your immediate network because obviously those are like the warmest people, right? Like these people already know you, they trust you, and you asking is like also putting out into the universe that like you want this, right? Being like, okay, like I'm ready for this. So I'm going to put it out there and see what comes back. So that's like always my first piece of advice. Just let people know what you're doing because if you don't, like people are going to know it exists. So like be loud about what you're doing and like own it, so that people start associating you with that course that you created or that piece or that book you wrote or whatever it may be. And then from there, it's starting to like own it online. So now, like, you have like a website, you're marketing yourself, like wherever your audience is, whether that's Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, know your ideal client and who you're trying to reach. And then from there, find where they're at online and use that as your primary marketing sources and primary marketing channels. And then from there, you can start to see engage with other communities that are of like minded people, right? So mine are writers. So I'm in a lot of different writing groups sharing writing tips, editing tips, getting to know people on a human level so that when you need something or when you want to promote something, it's like a little more of a warm lead.
Okay. Okay. Nice, nice. How do you start a community and how do you grow it as well too? Because I know you have a community.
Yeah. So I was really lucky when I got on LinkedIn. It wasn't very popular. It was just like a couple years old. People didn't really know like what it was or what it was for. And it was actually my friend at the time was like, you should be on this platform. And I was like, okay, sure. Like I'll just set up a profile. And then once I did that, I also started a group around the same time that's for writers, marketers, and editors. And basically, so we could like all share ideas. Like, okay, so normally, the writer creates the content, the editor needs to edit it, and then we need to market it. So it was kind of like this funnel of people that it's like we're all going to need each other at some point, but we can also share like best practices and tips and what works for us. So it kind of was just very organic and it grew. It's over like 3,000 people now.
Wow.
And yeah, and it was just like very much like, oh, like I'm a marketer, I'm an editor, I'm a writer. These are people who are doing what I'm doing, and I need some help or would like to like find jobs. Or like publish in here when I need like some more eyes on my content. And so it just kind of developed very organically since it did start like pretty early on in LinkedIn. And so now it's really great because we have like lots of people coming in from all different industries sharing what's working in that industry when it comes to content. So yeah, it's been really cool. And just like keep it interacting. Like in order to keep that community growing, just keep interacting. I post like once or twice a week in there to keep up the conversation. So yeah, those would be my
Okay.
tips.
Nice, nice, nice. My next question is, what was the aha moment that made you transfer to a job to entrepreneurship? Well, why entrepreneurship?
Yeah. So I was working like a very traditional 9 to 5 in like a stuffy office in Southern California. And everything was online, right? Like I was working for a real estate website. And so I was sitting there and I'm like, I don't physically have to be here to get my job done. Like I'm not really interacting with that many people. We were like a 3-person team in this big company. And I was just like, this seems kind of like silly. Like, why are we wasting all this time like commuting and like like the office antics, like when we should be working and like obviously I would be more productive in my house. So I pitched it to them and I was like, hey, I know you guys have never done this, but what about like once a week, like our team works from home just to like trial it and see like what happens. And they were very old school and they were like, hell no, are we going to do that? And I was like, okay, well, I tried.
Right.
So after a year there, I was like, okay, like I feel like I'm just like the soul is like leaving my body. Like I feel terrible like in this space. And I'm
Right.
like not doing my best work. Like this is just like sad. It made me really sad. So I quit. And that's when I started Crea Content Marketing because I had the tools that I learned from that job of digital marketing, of writing digital content. And when I started, I knew nothing about real estate. And so I was like, wait, if I can do this about one industry I know nothing about, I can do this about any industry I know nothing about. And so I just kind of like started Crea, didn't had no idea what I was doing. But thankfully it worked out. So
Wow.
yeah, that's like that was the aha moment when I was like, why am I sitting here like feeling so depressed every day in this sad office when I don't need to physically be here. So yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Um, Let me ask this. Did you just quit all of a sudden, or did you have an exit strategy and some money aside to start the business?
No, I straight up just quit. I mean,
Wow.
hindsight is 2020. Like I would have loved to have some clients lined up before I did that. And now actually that's like what I teach. Is like if you have the financial security to just like quit and go do your thing, 100% more power to you, do that. But if
Yeah.
you want to like start slowly building up your freelance writing business on the side while you have a full-time job, that's completely doable as well. And it's like a lot smarter and more financially secure, obviously. So yeah, like in hindsight, I probably would have lined up a couple clients before I quit, but I was just so depressed and like so over it. I was like, I gotta go. I gotta go.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, what is the hardest thing in being an entrepreneur? What is the hardest thing?
I would say keeping yourself motivated is definitely one of those things, right? Because if you're not, like, I'm a solopreneur, so that's even tougher because I don't have a team. So when like there's things I don't want to do, there's no one telling me like you have to do this. So you really have to be like self-motivated to keep your business running and to keep it growing. So I try to like train myself to like get past those things by like setting like you have like three non-negotiables or four non-negotiables a day that you absolutely must do. And so that kind of helps me like keep momentum because if you don't have someone like being like, hey, like you got to do this, then it's just you. So it's definitely like the motivation factor I would say is like through the day to day is the hardest. Like obviously you have your long-term goals and you're like, this is the lifestyle I want to lead and this is going to create that type of lifestyle, but it's more in like the day in day out like little things that like you have to figure out how to keep yourself motivated and going.
Okay, okay. You just talked about team. I didn't write this down. You talked about team. Are you willing to delegate certain things to other people and pay them, or?
I mean, when I grow, yes, I definitely would love to do that with like my new business. Because I know I'll get to a point where like I would love to have somebody manage like my social media and like stuff like that. That would be great. So I definitely have it in mind. Like eventually I would like to do that. But up until this point, like I haven't for my first business, I haven't really needed an extra hand. And especially now with AI, that's helped me a lot. That's kind of like my virtual assistant. So yeah, it's like I am totally open to it. It just hasn't happened yet.
Okay, fair enough. What is your best negotiation tactic in terms of partnership, in terms of getting clients and getting the deal that you want?
That's a great question. So I like to, so a lot of my clients have been referrals, and honestly, like word of mouth is the best way to get clients because then your work is speaking for itself, right? Like you don't have to actively go out and shop for clients, they come to you. And so that has been like my strategy is producing like the most valuable content that actually like speaks to and works for my clients' KPIs so that they're like, wow, this is great. And so when they have a friend or a family member or another colleague that goes to another company and they need content, they refer them to me, which is great because then you already have like that camaraderie, you already have like that connection with that person. And that's been really great because then I can leverage those kind of that networking to find future clients to be like, hey, you've referred this person to me. I have some availability. If you know anyone else, that would be great. So that's like number one, just like make sure you're producing value in whatever you're creating so that your work speaks for itself and the clients come to you. But if you do need to do like some cold outreach, I always recommend like kind of like what I was talking about earlier is finding that ideal client profile. Like I would love to write for this person or love to write in this industry. And then seeing like, okay, let's see what kind of content already exists in that space and how I can differentiate this person or this brand, and then coming to them with a pitch. Because you really have nothing to lose at that point. Like they're not your client, right? So like what's the worst that's going to happen? They're still not going to be your client, but at least you've created that connection with that person or that brand so they know you exist and they know you're here to offer them value if they ever are to need your services in the future. So like you really lose nothing like cold outreaching too.
Okay, cool, cool. I want to talk about diversification. I know you got two businesses. Is it best to just hone in on one idea and master that, or is it okay to have multiple streams of income at the same time and
Yeah.
balance
Yeah,
that?
it really depends on like your energy level and like how much you want to work and like how much these things matter to you, right? So like if it's a business that you love and like this is your passion, it's going to be a lot easier for you to spend more time on that, right? So definitely if you're going to start a business, like make sure it's something you're passionate about and that like lights you up and that you're happy to share about, you want to create content about, right? Like you want to share this part of you because then it's like it doesn't really feel like work anymore. It's like, wow, I get to like talk about what I love all day long and create content about what I love all day long. And then like the burden isn't like, oh, this is like, I have to do this because it's like a 9 to 5. It's like, no, like it's late, right? It's like, oh no, I have the privilege of doing this. I get to, not I have to. So that's definitely like if you just switch your mindset a little bit of like regarding those things, then it can be, wow, like, and I get to make money from this. Like I would be doing this anyways for free. And now I get to create a way to like create an income stream from something I love. So it's just like a matter of finding like your sweet spot and then changing the mindset to be like, I don't have to, I get to. And then it just becomes a lot easier. And it's not like, oh, I have to like spend so much time. It's like, no, like, wow, like I get to fill my days with something I love. So I think it's just that little tweak that can help people kind of see it differently.
Yeah, so how about, you have two businesses, you spend a lot of time on one and then you start to lose focus on the other one and starts to dwindle and then you have to go back and give it attention and back and forth, back and forth. What do you say to that person?
So for me personally, I started my second business when my first business was very solid. So after I got to a point where I was like, I'm making consistent income, it's kind of like self-sustaining in a way. Then I was like, okay, now I have the time and energy and attention to invest in something else. So I had like more and more free time and I was like, okay, I want to spend this time wisely. What should I do with that? And so that's when I was like, okay, I want to teach other people how to create a business that I created. And so it was kind of nice to like have this solid foundation already built and then get to use the time freedom that the solid foundation had created to invest in creating another business. So for me, it's like Crea is still there. I still have like tons of clients that I consistently am in touch with. And whenever they need something, they reach out to me. And it's like very like, kind of like set it and forget it. Like we're in contact. They know how to reach out to me. They know how to get my attention. They know like, and I reach out to them too, right? If I have more availability than usual, I'm like, hey, just so you know, my calendar's open for next month. If you guys have any content projects, please reach out. So it's like this give and take work. We're always communicating. And so like I always have consistent income for my first business. And so my second business now has allowed me to kind of play with that free time that I have in a more I would say like I'm actually building something. I'm not just like wasting my free time watching Netflix all day. I'm like, okay, now I
Yeah.
like actually have something I like am investing in that's gonna invest in me too.
Okay, cool, nice, nice. My next question is, I started a digital course maybe like about a year ago on health and how your health is a part of your wealth and how it can impact your wealth as well too. Because I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs don't take care of their health, it ends up affecting their business. So how important health is to you?
That's really great. I'm actually doing a live training tomorrow about entrepreneurship and health. So this is really funny that you bring this up.
Nice.
Um, Because basically, like for me personally, it wasn't until I became an entrepreneur that I was really able to invest in myself, in like my physical health, emotional health, spiritual health, mental health. And I feel like a lot of people sometimes the opposite happens, where they kind of run themselves into the ground building a business because they're not prioritizing themselves, right? Like I always tell my students, like, we're building this business to support our lives. Like, we're not building this business for it to become our lives. So I think it's really important to think about like, what are my priorities in life? And what do I want to be like? Here are the top three things that matter most to me. Okay. How am I going to build a business that's going to support those three things? So that is like your guiding light all along, and you're like, okay, I'm doing this business in order to promote my well-being or my health. And then always have that there so that when you do get kind of like stuck in the like craziness that entrepreneurship can kind of be, you can always be like, hold up, like I need to take a step back. This is like consuming way more time or way more of my energy than I like want to. So let's see how I can like create balance so that I can get back to those like priorities I said at the beginning of why I was building this business. So I always like tell people just do like a check-in, like physical, emotional, spiritual, mental health. Like, where are you? And how is your business either contributing or detracting from those things? And then you just got to find a way to like bring it back into balance.
Okay, nice, nice. Mhm. If somebody wanted to start a social media managing company or digital marketing agency, can that's big these days. What are the steps needed to start?
Yeah. So first is creating like a body of work that can speak to your know-how, your talent, your skills. So I always recommend people first start by like actually creating content, whether that's for themselves, whether that's for like, I love this brand or like this influencer and I wish I could write for them. Write for them, like create that content using them as like a guinea pig, as like a test. And so that eventually you can publish that post onto like your portfolio or your website, wherever that's going to live. And then you have like a body of work you can show potential clients.
Mm,
So that's like the first thing I recommend is getting your portfolio and website like up and ready. And then
nice.
you can start with, now that you feel confident in your skills, now I'm going to start reaching out to people. And then honestly, once you get your first couple clients, you can start leveraging those clients, not just because you'll have more polished work to then show, but you'll also have the stats. And the analytics from those clients about how your content or whatever you're producing for them is actually performing. So that's something I always ask my clients for. If I'm not in like their back end of their CMS and I can't see their analytics for themselves, I'll just be like, hey, could you share like your KPIs and like how the content I'm producing for you is performing so that then you have that you can then show to other clients. And then it's a lot easier of a sell, right? Because they can see like the proof is in the pudding. Like you're actually getting results and actually hitting those KPIs that your client set. So that's like another way that makes it just a lot easier to find clients and start building up business.
You said KPI. What's KPI?
Key performance indicator. So there'll be different key performance indicators for different companies and different types of content. So for example, like top of the funnel, like very basic, like this is the service or product we offer. That's going to be like more, they just want visibility and eyes on their content. So that will be like their KPI will be like how many eyeballs are we getting on this piece of content. Then like middle and bottom of the funnel, you have people that already know your company, they know what you offer, and they have more like in-depth questions about like what you do or how your product works.
Right.
And so those will be more like they'll be conversions. The KPIs will be like how many of these people reading it are converting into subscribers for our newsletter, for example. So that's how you just make sure like the content you're writing is aligned with the KPIs of your clients so that then you can see like, wow, this is actually working, right? Like I'm not just putting content out into the void. Like my stuff is actually converting and actually helping my clients.
Yeah. So with the partnership and reaching out to companies or influencers and so forth, how do you get through the cracks? Because sometimes you're starting out, they don't want to talk to somebody who's a startup. They want to
Yeah.
talk to the bigger person, right? So how do you
Yeah.
get there?
Definitely. And sometimes like you won't get through, right? Like sometimes there's too much noise and you won't. But like I'm all about perseverance and I like will keep trying. So just like keep interacting with this person, and also like if they are one of like your guinea pig clients, right, where you have created some type of content for them, you can share it with them. Be like, hey, like, I don't know if you're looking for people to create like social media for you or content for you or videos for you or whatever it may be. But like, I used you as a case study and I would love for you to take a look at what I created. And if you are offering them basically a free service, right? Like a free product that you've created for them, they're going to be much more willing to take a look at what you've given them than just like being like, hey, what's up? So that's like kind of how you can also make it work for you two ways is like, you're doing this anyways because you want something living on your portfolio and to show potential clients. But if you somebody you love or a brand you've always wanted to work with, you can also pitch it to them and be like, hey, I created this. It's free. I just wanted you to see it. I'm here if you ever need anything.
Okay. All right. Nice, nice. Um, my last question is, what is the best advice you can give an entrepreneur?
Um, this is like so basic, but like don't give up. Like there's so many times where I have been like thought about going back to like a 9 to 5 or been like, like, oh, it'd be so much easier if I just had a salary. But then I think about those three priorities that I set, right? And I'm like, do I really want to like give up my time freedom, my location freedom, this beautiful life I've created, the connections I have with all these people to then be put back into like this box of like a salaried employee that does one thing? Like, because as an entrepreneur, you get to do so many different things. And I can't imagine going back to like being defined by a role and one thing. Like, that sounds crazy to me.
Yeah,
Because I'm like,
yeah.
so like, I'm so interested in so many different things. Right. So I'm like, okay, well, no, like I'm not going to go back to that because I'm like feel much more fully expressed as an entrepreneur. So if you just look at it as like, wow, like I literally, if I want to be like more in the marketing role tomorrow, I can do that. If I want to be more the creator role today, I can do that. If I want to do more like networking, like next week, I can do that. It's like you get to be everything, and that's such a gift. So just like keep going. And then if you feel stuck, just like change your energy into a different role. Right. If you feel stuck like writing today, change that energy, start networking today. And pretty soon, like you're gonna get back to that place where you feel comfortable writing. So yeah, just like keep going because it's such a beautiful challenge. And you learn and grow so much as an entrepreneur that you could never ever do in like a salaried role.
All right, perfect, perfect. Anything else you want to add, and where people can find you as well?
Yes. So on Instagram, I'm at Lolly Spin. My website is lollyspindler.com. There you can find my course, The Six Fig Freelance Writer, and also my coaching programs if you're interested in doing one-on-one or group coaching with me. There's also lots of freebies on that site. So like my free content brief, a couple free webinars, my newsletter. And tomorrow I'm going to be hosting a live training on entrepreneurship and health on Instagram at 12 noon Mountain Time. So yeah. And then if it's not live, there'll be a recording, so you can get that too.
All right, there you have it. Thank you for joining us. See you guys next time. All right,
Thank
peace.
you.